For a long time, Japan has maintained a strictly defensive position in its military owing to its demilitarization by the United States after the Second World War. However, watching the Kremlin and China forcing conquests of militarily vulnerable nations, Tokyo joined forces with the United Kingdom and Italy in founding the Global Combat Air Program toward the creation of next-generation fighter jets. Could Japan be leaning towards a more proactive military approach? How has Russia taken this news? Join us as we discuss how Japan's new fighter jet rattles Russia. Over the years, Japan has maintained peace in its military structures, but it wasn't always so. Before the mid-1940s, they were a part of the massive military force under Emperor Hirohito that worked in tandem with Hitler's Nazi Germany forces and the Italian forces during the Second World War. Their improved technology and daring spirit to go after the United States on their own turf in Pearl Harbor on December 7, 1941, became a calling card for their military strength. However, following the United States' decision to join the war and the atomic bombs released in parts of Japan, especially Hiroshima and Nagasaki, on August 6 and 9, 1945, the Japanese Empire surrendered their arms. They did not, at the time, have an answer for an atomic bomb. But not only did Japan have to surrender their arms, it also had to surrender some part of their rights as a sovereign state to the United States. Following their tragic loss to the United States during the war in 1945, America occupied Japan for 7 years, enforcing a new constitution, where Article 9 conveniently stops them from owning a military force. While some of the top Japanese lobbyists tried to fight against it, they failed, as the country had already set a precedent of war when they hit Pearl Harbor, and now the United States, which drafted the post-war Constitution, was strong-arming them into total submission and dominance. Having no choice but to sign, Tokyo has always kept its nose clean, avoiding war, and quite reluctantly becoming a home to 14 of the biggest military bases that belong to the United States, including the Yokota Air Base in Tokyo, the headquarters of U.S. Forces Japan, the Kadena Air Base, the Yokosuka Naval Base, the Misawa Air Base, and other strategically located military bases for the sake of protecting Japan should a war ever be on the horizon. Although Tokyo is unable to create its own military, it has been afforded the luxury of having a self-defense corps called the Japanese Self-Defense Forces, or JFDF. While Japan has politically shied away from referring to these self-defense forces as military, they are trained in the same way that a military is trained. Although they are not allowed to wage war on another country, as the United States forces control that part, the JFDF is a highly trained elite force, which is very capable of defending their homeland on their own turf if push ever came to shove. Owing to their demilitarization, Tokyo had refrained from manufacturing offensive weapons or military technologies in order to keep honoring their agreement with the United States. While they continued to uphold that posture, the Indo-Pacific region suddenly developed a reputation for China, which has a plan to dominate Southeast Asia through conquest, taking their lands and occupying the targeted sovereign states with a principal government to whom they report back. A perfect example is China's decision to coerce Taiwan into submission. Beijing has completely ramped up its intensity to take over the South China Sea via maritime dominance. The Taiwanese president, Lai Ching-te, who has leaned more towards the West for assistance, including the United States, angers China with their decision to keep bridging the all-powerful West into Indo-Pacific regions, making conquest harder than it used to be in the past. In a recent speech at the 2025 Shangri-La Dialogue, the United States Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth told the audience that China's attempt to conquer Taiwan by force could be imminent. Although China has made no comment about the situation escalating towards an all-out war, its consistent aggressive movement towards the South China Sea along the Taiwan Strait all points to war. Although Taiwan is not demilitarized like Japan, its army and military might not compare to the huge Chinese military force and their war technology, making any type of war between both countries asymmetrical. Tokyo, which has been watching from the sidelines as militarily vulnerable countries are up for grabs by bigger sovereign states, has kept its cool and continued to honor its agreement with the United States without a fuss. However, their concerns continued to grow in 2014, when the Kremlin annexed Crimea and Ukraine with the aim of taking over the territory and, by extension, all of Ukraine. Little by little, the Japanese government turned up its defense technology, upgrading it to offense. Although there has been no confirmation as to why Tokyo suddenly encouraged a spike in the creation of offensive military weapons, including fighter jets, the consistent threats of being gobbled up by a nation with a stronger military were not an uncommon theme, and they saw it too. Although they had the protection of the United States, other countries under the same type of pressure, particularly Taiwan, also have the protection of the United States, meaning that their military has a divided focus, a gamble that Japan was unwilling to take and would rather find a way to prepare for potential all-out war. By February 24, 2022, Japan's fears were officially confirmed as the world watched Russia take over Ukraine, moving in with military might and watching their fighter jets blow up Ukrainian infrastructure, their economy, and their people, with their biggest blowback being heavy economic sanctions from the United States, who are also trying to negotiate peace with the Kremlin rather than join forces with Ukraine to fight the oppressor. Although it is well documented that the United States has been sending reinforcements to Ukraine, including war funds and military support like the F-16 fighters, the war remains ongoing, and Ukraine seems to be on the losing side despite fighting the war on their own turf. These circumstances were enough to change the posture of the Japanese government towards military improvement. Ergo, in 2023, the Japanese government, supported by the United Kingdom and Italy, came up with the idea of a jointly run operation where they could safely develop a sixth-generation fighter jet that could send a message to other top military nations, including China, the United States, and, more importantly, the Kremlin. The initiative was announced on December 9, 2022, the same year that the Russo-Ukrainian threats of war since 2014 became an all-out war. The initiative creates an avenue for the three countries that are involved to merge their separate sixth-generation projects, which would include the United Kingdom-led BAE Systems Tempest developed with Italy and the Japanese Mitsubishi FX. Although Japan had been technically demilitarized, it kept its defense in check aerially, on the ground, and maritime. Aerially, they created an Air Defense Identification Zone, or ADIZ, a region of airspace in which a country tries to identify, locate, and control aircraft in the interest of national security. It is declared unilaterally and may extend beyond a country's territory to give the country more time to respond to possible hostile forces aggressively without sanctions from any organization. But what makes the Mitsubishi FX, or F3 as it is called unofficially, so special that it is added as a potential study guide for a new next-generation jet? The Mitsubishi FX is a technology developed out of necessity by local Japanese companies, especially since the United States stopped the export of the Lockheed Martin F-22 Raptor to foreign nations, which included Japan, which did not have the military to defend itself in the first place because it had been demilitarized by the United States. Caught in this dilemma, Tokyo responded by building a domestically developed fighter jet to replace the F-22, which was no longer an option for them. Between 2009 and 2010, Tokyo delved deep into research on the latest fighter jets at the time, but decided against building the exact same things and instead looked to create something about a generation higher. It was no longer just about defense. It was about proving a point to the United States, which had faltered in its promises to help rebuild an aging air fleet that needed to be changed as quickly as possible. Following their research, they came up with the I-3, which translates to Informed, Intelligent, and Instantaneous Fighter Jet. Being Japan's first conceptualized fighter jet of the sixth-generation ilk, it was retrofitted with different functionalities, including advanced radar systems to counter stealth technology of other fighters, receiving targeting information from other platforms like drones, fighters, and airborne early warning and control aircraft. Use of flyby optics reminiscent of the Kawasaki P-1 to process information faster, stealth technology, gallium nitride semiconductors to improve radar performance, and a new, more powerful engine that could give it a burst of hypersonic speed, Mach 6 and beyond. While the I-3 could be deemed a successful project, it was not going to be the end-all be-all for Japan. They needed something different, something designed for real air superiority. Enter the FX twin-engine stealth fighter jet. The Japanese Ministry of Defense described it as a technology with sixth-generation abilities. The Japanese Ministry of Defense was very much in a competition with the rest of the world, but mainly the United States, which at the time could boast of one of the biggest fighters in the world, the F-22 Raptor. But it traveled at Mach 2, which is twice the speed of sound. While it could be very much within the scale of the fastest fighters in the world, it was nowhere near the potential of the FX, which was proposed to be 6 times faster than the speed of sound. The FX is said to be bigger than the F-22, which has earned it the nickname Godzilla from Bradley Perrett at Aviation Week. The large size indicates the Japanese Ministry of Defense desires the aircraft to possess a very long range and a large payload capacity, meaning that it can carry much bigger ordnance than the F-22 while traveling at Mach 6 speed, and also be able to hit its target without faltering. It was the game changer. Technologies tested in the X-2 technology demonstrator will likely be incorporated into the FX fighter. Defense Minister Taro Kono has stated that the FX will possess strong network capabilities and will carry more missiles than even the crown jewel of the United States' aviation fleet, the F-35 Lightning II. The FX was a statement design that repelled almost everything the Raptor had, ranging from replacing the usage of conventional hydraulic systems with electric actuators. According to Japan's Ministry of Defense's evaluation, the reason for selecting electric actuators over hydraulic systems is because of the complexity of designing the interior of the stealth fighter. However, other than speed, the FX was designed for more. The Japanese Ministry of Defense wanted a jet capable of multiple functions. For some context, there are aircraft that are only capable of hunter missions, meaning that they can only be useful to gather information on the enemy and for surveillance and reconnaissance missions. However, they are also accompanied by a specific aircraft that does the job of aiming and firing at targets, called a killer. Hence, should there ever be a need to scout for problems and take them out immediately when the opportunity arises, the military sends the hunter and killer aircraft, with one primed to take out the target and the other tasked with identifying the target. However, when designing the stealth shape of the FX, the internal weapon bay and intake air ducts must be accounted for. Consequently, problems arise with installing hydraulic system piping due to design considerations such as rigidity and length. Hence, the reason that they adopted electric actuators, as they work with wires instead of pipes, eliminating the constraints once and for all. This results in simplified installation and reduced restrictions, allowing more flexibility in designing the body of the aircraft. But what really makes the FX special is its lightweight. Imagine an aircraft so big it is called Godzilla, weighing just a little more than a Raptor, even though it is considerably bigger. This was exactly what the Japanese aircraft developers were willing to achieve. Ergo, they tweaked the manufacturing design so far from the conventional designs. For some context, regular aircraft are mostly built using fasteners like bolts, screws, and nuts together to put up composite materials during construction. However, the FX designers took care of the extra weight from the fasteners by using adhesive glue to join composite materials together. This method is dubbed the integrated fastenerless structure technology. Although the fastenerless technology took a bit of weight away, the real chunk of weight is taken away by the use of lighter building materials like aluminum alloys and carbon fiber reinforced polymer. But the question is, if an aircraft is going to be flying at an unconventional speed of Mach 6 and above and in full flight, how do the softer materials like the carbon fiber reinforced polymer and aluminum alloys handle the heat that comes from the friction when the aircraft flies at that speed without getting burnt? Owing to the use of materials like carbon fiber reinforced polymer and alloys, the Japanese designers employ a heat shield technology, meaning that they add a component designed to protect an object or a human operator from being burnt or overheated by dissipating, reflecting, or absorbing heat. The Japanese Ministry of Defense's research team believes that the new design methods that help reduce the weight of the aircraft not only shorten the required working man-hours by 66%, but also propose a bit of a solution for the avionics system. The avionics of this aircraft centers around its hunter-killer enablers, ranging from its navigation system to radar systems and sensors, to help the aircraft avoid detection, enabling its hunter version. The engineers equipped it with top-class sensors like an active electronically scanned array, or AESA radar, a passive radio frequency, or RF sensor, and an infrared camera. The active electronically scanned array sensors are a game-changing radar technology that is powerful enough to track even stealthy aircraft without getting caught. Also, the aircraft is fitted with radio frequency, or RF sensors, which activate the aircraft's radio and use it to pick up signals and information without sending out its own signal, making it nigh undetectable to most Hunter aircraft. But for an aircraft that flies at Mach 6, how does it sustainably protect its heat signature from Hunter aircraft with infrared technology completely capable of reading heat signatures, especially from an air beast that big? The fighter is equipped with cooling systems around the avionics to reduce the heat that comes from the surface, keeping potentially large hotspots cool enough to avoid infrared detection. But it gets even better with the specially coated painting in pitch black that not only blends properly into the night sky, but also absorbs, spreads, and dispels the heat that comes from the friction of the aircraft, speeding at 6 times the speed of sound against the air. While its Hunters are perfectly on display, the aircraft is retrofitted with an ASM-3, a supersonic anti-ship missile being developed by Mitsubishi Heavy Industries to replace the ASM-1 and ASM-2 missiles, and also microwave weapons, or direct energy weapons in more popular parlance. Microwave weapons are the next level of fighter jet armament, as they are capable of ranged weapons that damage their targets with highly focused energy without a solid projectile, including lasers, microwaves, particle beams, and even sound beams. While it has not been actively found in use by most top militaries around the world because of its unpredictability, especially when aiming for a smaller and moving target, potential applications of this technology include weapons that target personnel, missiles, vehicles, and optical devices, now in the FX. While the Hunter killer missions are nigh perfectly suited to this aircraft, the Japanese history with war, which includes heavy losses of lives in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, prompted them to find a different solution when this aircraft is in use. Ergo, to reduce losses, they decided on introducing an unmanned combat aerial vehicle that can operate significantly beside the FX. Think of it as a shadow bodyguard that will be called the Combat Support Unmanned Aircraft, which would be responsible for carrying even more sensors and radars, making it easier to spot targets, or more importantly, threats to the pilot's life while he flies the FX. This wingman style is not too dissimilar from the Kratos XQ-58 Valkyrie or Boeing Air-Powered Teaming System project, where the drone acts as the loyal wingman to the aircraft. While the wingman drone to finally complement the FX is not touted to be available until the 20s, the FX has definitely started to ruffle feathers in Eastern Europe, particularly Russia. Although the Kremlin remains stuck in a loop of asymmetrical warfare with Ukraine over their decision to join forces with the West and sign up for membership as a part of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, or NATO, the course of the war could suddenly change when Japan completes the FX project. While it is unclear why Japan might be interested in picking a side in the Russo-Ukrainian war, the United States, which has already picked a side, Ukraine's in the war, holds a lot of sway in Japan, a country where they have military bases and where they are owed some respect because of Pearl Harbor in Article 9 of the post-war Constitution. Ergo, it isn't so hard to infer that they might influence Japan into equipping Ukraine with an FX, changing the landscape of the war completely. Whether Japan decides to support Ukraine with its new fighter jet, adding a new complexion to the war, or simply stays away from the Eastern European forces, remains to be seen. With tensions between China and the United States growing more intense, America's allies, especially Japan, have been left with no choice but to find ways to defend themselves against future threats. Japan has gone the extra mile, developing aircraft unlike anything ever seen in aerial warfare. Armed with technology so advanced that even European nations are eager to collaborate, Japan is finally stepping up to claim its place among the world's military powers. Could this be the beginning of Japan's military resurgence? What can this next-generation fighter truly do? Join us as we reveal the groundbreaking details of the new bombers Japan has just added to its arsenal. After the Second World War, Japan became very cautious about rebuilding its military, especially its air force, which now appears outdated compared to that of other countries. The memories of Hiroshima and Nagasaki still remind everyone of how terrible war can be. Japan's new constitution, drafted with the help of the United States after the war, took a firm stand against war. In Article 9, Japan relinquished its right to wage war or maintain military forces for aggression, limiting its forces to self-defense purposes only. Japan also made a deal with the United States for protection. American troops, including air forces, stayed in Japan to defend the country. This allowed Japan to rebuild its cities, businesses, and industries without undue concern for war. But as time went on, growing problems with China and fears about North Korea's missiles made Japan change its thinking. China's rapid rise in both economic and military strength began to appear more unfriendly toward Japan. Because Japan supported Taiwan and worked closely with the United States, China hit back with trade bans and boycotts. Behind the scenes, China also used cyber attacks and spying. They broke into Japan's government and business systems, attempting to steal sensitive secrets related to defense and technology. China sent more ships and planes close to Japan's borders. They started doing regular live-fire drills and even launched ballistic missiles near Taiwan, one of Japan's close partners. With danger rising, Japan recognized the need to enhance its air force, rather than relying solely on others, especially since China and Russia are now introducing more advanced fighter jets. In a big move, Japan's leaders have recently agreed on new rules that would enable the country to respond more effectively to threats. Former Prime Minister Fumio Kishida stated that, with missiles becoming faster and more deadly around the world, Japan must strengthen its defense to deter future attacks. This decision also followed the United States' urging of Japan to assume a greater role in containing China's expanding military. This new plan will increase its defense budget to 2% of its economy by 2027, doubling the amount it currently spends. With more money, Japan will buy advanced weapons from the United States like Tomahawk missiles and work on building its top-level fighter jets, super-fast missiles, and armed drones. Initially, Japan sought to acquire the Lockheed Martin F-22 Raptor. However, the United States refused to sell the jet to any other country, thereby keeping its technology safe and leaving Japan at a disadvantage. So Japan made a bold choice to design and build its sixth-generation fighter jet. It's a challenging project, but if they succeed, Japan could end up producing one of the world's best warplanes and become a major player in the arms market. Between 2009 and 2010, Japan's Ministry of Defense took a deep look into fighter jet technology. From this work came the idea of the I-3 fighter, which stands for Informed, Intelligent, and Instantaneous. This jet was designed to be a stealth fighter capable of detecting and engaging other stealthy planes. It would come equipped with a powerful radar system, smart sensors, and the capability to communicate with external drones and sensor stations during battles. All these features were meant to give Japan a big advantage in controlling the skies around its region. The I-3 fighter could also carry new types of weapons, such as laser guns, known as light-speed weapons, that could instantly destroy incoming threats. As expected, China responded to Japan's plan with harsh words, accusing Japan of fabricating the China threat as a pretext for building more weapons. However, Japan is pushing forward, determined to rely more on itself and defend its territory. To turn their ideas into reality, Japan created a test plane called the Mitsubishi X-2 Shinshin. The X-2 was designed with a look similar to that of modern fifth-generation fighters, such as the Lockheed F-22 Raptor. Its size was comparable to that of the Swedish Saab JAS 39 Gripen. Measuring approximately 14 meters in length with a wingspan of 9 meters, it weighed almost 13 tons and was equipped with strong turbojet engines featuring 3D thrust control, which provided it with remarkable agility and the ability to fly at supersonic speeds. One of the most notable features of the X-2 was its fly-by-optics system. Instead of using traditional cables, it utilizes optical fibers, which enable faster data sharing and better noise handling. Its radar, called the Multifunction RF Sensor, was built with an active electronically scanned array, known as AESA technology, allowing it to switch across different signals for jamming, communication, and possibly even using microwave weapons. Another notable feature was its self-repairing flight control system. If the plane's flight surfaces got damaged, it could detect the problem and adjust by using the parts that still worked, keeping the jet flying safely. For its test flights, the X-2 used two XF-5 engines. The work was led by Japan's Acquisition Technology and Logistics Agency. They made a small demo plane called the Advanced Technology Demonstrator, or ATDX for short, which flew 34 missions in 2016 and 2017. ATLA also ran 14 other programs focused on building the key components needed for a real stealth fighter, such as improved sensors, faster data links, and concealed weapon bays. The prototype was a big success. Many of the new systems tested on it will likely be used in Japan's future 6th-generation fighter jet. The twin-engine plane had a sleek and smooth shape, standing about 4.51 meters tall. Its cropped delta wings and special extensions allowed it to keep flying safely even at high angles. Two vertical fins at the rear helped improve both its flight capabilities and stealth. It was piloted by a single pilot and featured a retractable tricycle landing gear setup, smooth control surfaces, and two rectangular air intakes positioned adjacent to the cockpit. The special S-duct design also made its airflow smoother and more conducive to speed. After the success of the X-2 project, Japan's Ministry of Defense started working on the Mitsubishi FX in 2020. This new twin-engine stealth fighter is designed for air battles and is planned to be even larger than the F-22, which has earned it the nickname Godzilla. Its large size would give it a longer flight range and the ability to carry a greater number of weapons. It is also designed to have a robust network system and carry more missiles than the F-35. Engineers experimented with various exterior designs using 3D models and specialized computer programs. The primary goals were to make it extremely fast, highly agile, and exceptionally stealthy. To make it lighter and more flexible, the FX would ditch hydraulic systems and utilize electronic components instead. It would also use strong glue molds instead of regular bolts and screws. Two XF-9 engines would power the plane, providing it with more than 20 tons of thrust. These engines would have special 3D thrust nozzles to help them turn more quickly and remain hidden. For its weapons and defense, the FX would feature an advanced mix of sensors to track and engage stealthy enemy planes. It would carry an active electronically scanned radar, a passive radio wave sensor, and an infrared camera. All of these would utilize gallium nitride technology to better detect targets that are normally difficult to see. The new jet would also feature a sophisticated radio system that could jam enemy signals worldwide, enabling it to intercept and counter incoming missiles. Pilots would receive a high-tech helmet equipped with a wide field of view, dual-eye displays, colorful screens, voice control, and 3D sound. The FX's stealth features would include twisted air ducts, hidden weapon bays, materials that absorb radar waves, and new metamaterials to make it even harder to detect. A plasma stealth system would generate short plasma bursts to deflect radar waves, thereby further protecting the plane. Beyond conventional armaments, the FX will be armed with a microwave cannon to disrupt incoming missiles. It will also have the ability to deploy combat support unmanned aircraft drones, serving as loyal wingmen to the fighter. These drones will aid in target identification, munition deployment, and the deflection of incoming missiles. If the FX Godzilla lives up to even a fraction of its potential, it could provide the Japanese armed forces with a formidable warplane surpassing anything in today's skies. Furthermore, it has the potential to propel Japan into the global weapons development market, solidifying its position as a military manufacturing powerhouse. Another important job for the FX Godzilla is to replace Japan's current F-2 fighter jets during the 2030s. It's clear that Japan also draws some ideas from the US regarding the FX's design and functionality. Japan even bought some F-35s to use alongside the FX once it is ready. In 2022, rumors started flying that Japan and the UK might join forces by merging Japan's FX project with the UK's Tempest fighter program. By December 2022, the partnership was officially announced, and Italy joined the team as well. Initially, the UK sought to collaborate with France and Germany through a program called the Future Combat Air System. However, after numerous arguments and delays, the UK ultimately decided to collaborate with Japan and Italy instead. This new collaboration is a significant win for both parties. Japan secures strong partners who can help it sell military planes overseas, an area where it lacks substantial experience and expertise. The UK gets serious partners without the problems it faced before. Together, they aim to develop a powerful sixth-generation stealth fighter that could revolutionize the future of air combat. Big companies were given key tasks. Mitsubishi Heavy Industries from Japan and BAE Systems from the UK are leading the project. BAE is also working on the main body of the jet. Japan's IHI Corporation and Rolls-Royce are building the engines. Italy's Leonardo is responsible for the electronics, while MBDA UK handles the missile systems. After Japan and Britain teamed up, they also began working together on radar systems through a project called Jaguar, an acronym for Japan and Great Britain's Universal Advanced Radar Frequency System. The new fighter will be about 30% bigger than the Eurofighter Typhoon. Its weight without fuel will be close to that of the American F-15 Eagle. The plane will have a sharp delta wing with a 50-degree sweep. The wingspan will be around 54 feet, and the total wing area will be about 12,200 square feet, almost the same as the wing size of an Airbus A320. A model of the new fighter was first shown at the Farnborough Air Show in 2024. It features a trimmed delta wing, which enables it to fly faster, travel farther, and carry more weapons and fuel. However, it may not be as adept at quick turns and sharp maneuvers as Japan's original FX design. British aviation journalist Gareth Jennings pointed out that the GSAP's broad wings look a lot like those of the old American F-111 Aardvark bomber. The F-111 used to fly low to stay hidden from radar, but the GSAP will mainly depend on stealth and long-range missiles to remain safe. This plan is similar to the FB-22, a bomber version of the F-22 Raptor that never entered service. Unlike the FB-22, which was built solely for support, the GCAP is designed to engage other planes and strike ground targets. All three countries working on the GSAP already use F-35B stealth fighters, except the UK, which also flies the F-35A. However, they still sought a jet that could carry more weapons than the F-35 and could be sold to other countries without the stringent restrictions associated with the American F-22 Raptor. Japan also plans to fit the GSAP with its high-tech missile systems. These will include the MBDA Meteor, the Spear 3, and the ASM-3, which is a Japanese anti-ship missile. Japan and Britain are also collaborating to develop a new medium-range air-to-air missile, known as the Joint New Air-to-Air Missile. Rumor has it that the JN-8M will feature a radar system manufactured by Japan at the front and a Meteor ramjet engine from Britain at the rear. Still, it may be slower than the Meteor, which can travel at over Mach 4. The JN-8M's top speed is expected to be around Mach 3.5. As for the schedule, the first flight of a Tempest concept demonstrator, a prototype built to test new technology, is planned for 2027. According to the UK Ministry of Defence's Director for Future Combat Air, this test plane will give a strong idea of what the final GEAP fighter will look like. Work on the joint engine demonstrator began in 2024, with the UK investing an initial £30 million in planning, digital design, and innovative construction methods. An additional £200 million from the UK will be allocated toward building a full-size engine for testing. This work will also create many skilled jobs, including at Rolls-Royce's Filton site in Bristol. The first flight of the Tempest is expected to happen in 2035. It will eventually replace the Eurofighter Typhoon in Italy and the UK, as well as the Saab Gripen in Sweden. During its production, they plan to use 3D printing to make parts. Leonardo is also building a new type of radar system for the Tempest. Instead of using a single large radar, this new system will utilize numerous small antennas and mini receivers to collect vast amounts of information from both the sky and the ground. Like other sixth-generation jets, the Tempest is likely to utilize artificial intelligence to control drones, building upon the concept of the loyal wingman. The cockpit will feature augmented reality, making the plane even more advanced. Fast progress and teamwork between countries will be crucial if the Tempest hopes to keep pace with China and Russia, who are also developing powerful new jets. Still, not everyone is pleased about Japan's more ambitious military plans. Kyoji Yanagasawa, a former defense leader, is one of the few who have spoken out. He says that having more potent weapons will not scare away enemies. Instead, he thinks Japan should focus more on talking and making peace to avoid wars. Yanagasawa worries that if Japan builds up its army too much, it could cause more trouble than it solves. He believes that growing the military might deter neighboring countries and make Japan a more attractive target. His view focuses on the difficult choice Japan faces: how to maintain safety without exacerbating tensions with its neighbors. Many experts believe Japan's push to enhance its military capabilities stems from a rapidly changing world. With China growing stronger and North Korea building up its nuclear weapons, Japan feels it might be left exposed. There are also concerns that the United States, Japan's largest ally, may not always be able to fully protect it, especially if problems erupt in different parts of the world simultaneously. The debate over Japan's new defense plans shows the complex situation the country faces as it seeks to strike a balance between peace and security. While many people agree that Japan should be able to defend itself more effectively, others are concerned about potential future developments. If Japan overextends its military, will it truly make the country safer, or will it merely add more tension to East Asia? Yasuo Hasebi, a constitutional law expert at Waseda University, mentioned how hard it is to know if a strike is truly preemptive until after it happens. He also argued that the government could claim that simply possessing these weapons for defense, even if they are never used, still aligns with Japan's peace-focused constitution. Although the law isn't clear on the matter, the government firmly insists that its plan is legal. Hasebi noted that because the government claims it is allowed, questioning it becomes very difficult. Surprisingly, there has been little resistance from Japan's public, media, courts, or opposition parties regarding whether this new military path aligns with the Constitution. The government has also not clearly explained how its actions comply with the law. From the U.S. perspective, Japan's growing military presence can be viewed in two ways. Zach Cooper, a senior fellow at the American Enterprise Institute, notes that Japan is bolstering its weapons and defenses, which the U.S. already supplies through its alliance with Japan. He believes part of the reason is Japan's fear that America might not always be a steady partner. That fear partly comes from the time when President Donald Trump questioned the value of old alliances. Japan's plan also shows that it learned from Ukraine's fight against Russia. Experts believe that when a country demonstrates its commitment to self-defense, its allies are more likely to step in and provide assistance. Japan hopes that by demonstrating its ability to stand up for itself, it will receive even more substantial support, especially from the United States. The YF-23 was a failure. Many believe this revolutionary stealth fighter was lost to history after losing the U.S. Air Force contract to the F-22 Raptor. But now, decades later, Japan is bringing it back, with cutting-edge upgrades that could shift the balance of power in the skies. As tensions intensify in the Indo-Pacific, Japan is depending on the mind-blowing capabilities of the revived new YF-23 to deter the intensifying Russian and Chinese threats. But how does this restored combatant compare with contemporary opponents? And why is its comeback creating shockwaves within the international defense community? Join us as we unlock the secrets of Japan's $500 million YF-23 supersonic plane. Few aircraft in the world of military aviation have possessed as much charisma for airplane enthusiasts as the YF-23 Black Widow II. A marvel of stealth design, speed, and high-altitude aerodynamics, it was the pinnacle of American air superiority for a while. Yet due to its groundbreaking innovations, the YF-23 lost out to the YF-22 in the early 1990s, and its place in history remains only as an engineering masterpiece that never quite lived up to what it could have been. The YF-23 had for years been a relic, and almost was of history. But in a dramatic reversal, Japan resurrected this mythical plane, this time equipped with the latest cutting-edge technologies capable of reshaping the very face of air warfare. The new F-23J has next-generation stealth technology, autonomous battle systems fueled by artificial intelligence, and hypersonic speed, placing Japan in the world's arms radar. It was in the late 80s that the U.S. Air Force started creating a new air superiority fighter to replace the outdated F-15 Eagle and maintain American air supremacy. This led to the Advanced Tactical Fighter Program, which was a high-profile contest between two of the most powerful aerospace giants, Lockheed Martin and Northrop Grumman. This was the contest to select the next-generation air dominance fighter. Lockheed Martin unveiled the YF-22 and Northrop Grumman unveiled the YF-23, an aeroplane most aeronautics professionals believed mastered in its era. Northrop Grumman also worked with McDonnell Douglas in creating the YF-23, a fighter plane that most see as futuristic. In its design, compared to other ordinary fighter planes, the YF-23 possessed a slender, diamond-shaped airframe, greatly suppressing its radar cross-section and allowing it to approach invisibility before enemy radar screens. The airplane's V-shaped tail made all vertical stabilizers unnecessary, hence increasing its ability to hide itself. But what actually set the YF-23 apart was its super cruise capability and speed. Equipped with two General Electric YFone 120 or Pratt & Whitney YFone 119 engines, the aircraft could cruise supersonically without the use of afterburners. The ability gave the aircraft a big advantage over existing fighters, since afterburners have a tendency to greatly increase infrared visibility, making aircraft more vulnerable to enemy tracking. The YF-23 Black Widow II was an engineering masterpiece with a revolutionary, stealthy, high-speed, and aerodynamic design. Its V-tail and diamond-shaped fuselage radically reduced its radar cross-section, and it was among the stealthiest fighter jets ever built. Though the YF-23's greatest asset was its ability to strike unseen from long distances, it also featured super cruise, where it could sustain supersonic flight without afterburners. Even though these were its advantages, the U.S. Air Force ultimately chose the YF-22, which went on to become the F-22 Raptor. The basis for making this choice included a number of factors. The YF-22 had superior dogfighting performance that the Air Force believed would play a significant role in future air combat. Lockheed Martin also proposed mass production of its plane at reduced costs and less complicated procedures. Therefore, the YF-23, faster, stealthier, and more advanced, was relegated to the back burner forever. For generations, the YF-23 became a historical footnote. But with shifting world politics and advances in technology, Japan revived this once abandoned marvel, this time with cutting-edge updates that could potentially change air dominance. Japan's decision to reactivate the YF-23 is not an accident. The Indo-Pacific area has become a geopolitical tinderbox, with the tensions between the world powers heightened. Japan had been relying on U.S. military protection for decades under their security agreement umbrella. However, China and Russia's recent advancements in the military have prompted Japan to rethink its traditional dependence on foreign allies. The constant missile tests of North Korea and the assertive territorial claims of China in the East China Sea have left Japan vulnerable to potential aerial attacks. China's Chengdu J-20 and Russia's Su-57 in particular have left Japan's defense establishment worried, introducing a treacherous angle to air superiority in the region. In recognizing the urgency of the situation, Japan has begun down a very aggressive road towards establishing its own state-of-the-art fighter plane program. Reactivation of the YF-23 is a cautious strategic move to bypass a decades-long development program through the development of an existing airframe that has already been proven. Instead of developing an all-new airframe from scratch, Japan is building its sixth-generation fighter, dubbed the F-23J now, from the breakthrough design of the YF-23. It allows Japan to accelerate its technological advancements and narrow the capability gap between China, Russia, and Japan's current technologies. For decades, it seemed as if the YF-23 was only going to amount to something out of historical memory. Not anymore. With Japan under pressure from escalating international tensions and taking note of an opportunity to bring this lost work back to life. The F-23J is more than just a revival of the YF-23. Japan has completely overhauled the aircraft, and it is now one of the world's most technologically advanced fighters. The foundation of the F-23J is an advanced stealth system that is ahead of anything ever made before. The YF-23's original radar-absorbing materials are upgraded with plasma-based stealth technology, a system that deforms electromagnetic waves to drastically reduce the aircraft's radar signature. In addition, the aircraft's composite materials and electromagnetic wave absorbers make it practically invisible to radar and infrared detection systems. The most impressive feature of the F-23J is probably its power plant. Japan's IHI Corporation has developed a next-generation XF91 low-bypass turbofan engine, which can produce up to 44,000 pounds of thrust. This allows the F-23J to achieve supercruise speeds, sustain supersonic flight without afterburners, while greatly reducing its infrared signature. During flight tests, the engine has demonstrated moments of hypersonic speed above Mach 5, so the F-23J is one of the fastest fighter planes ever created. To supplement its unadulterated speed, Japan has endowed the F-23J flight systems with artificial intelligence. Onboard computer programs also support the pilot in threat analysis, automatically identifying enemy planes and projecting flight paths in real time. Autonomous dogfighting is also available in the F-23J, with AI dynamically recalculating flight vectors in a matter of microseconds after the identification of threats. The cockpit also contains voice control, enabling pilots to operate primary functions without needing to use their hands, a function that can be highly beneficial in high-intensity combat situations. Yet another groundbreaking feature of the F-23J is its loyal wingman integration of unmanned aerial vehicles or drones. The fighter will fly alongside formations of autonomous drones that can be used as missile launch platforms, recce vehicles, or electronic warfare assets. The drones are instrumented as force multipliers to augment the combat capability of the fighter with minimal risk to human lives. The F-23J's mid-air drone control capability is a quantum leap in autonomous warfare. Japan's decision to bring the YF-23 back to life isn't sentimental. It's a matter of survival. Japan has relied for decades on the US, Japan's security alliance, for its security. China's abrupt militarization, Russia's and North Korea's, compelled Japan to rethink its reliance on US defense. China's J-20 Mighty Dragon, Russia's Su-57 Felon, and North Korea's missile technology have put Japan at risk of potential aerial assault. Japan's current F-15J fleet, while potent, is rapidly aging. Even the F-35 Lightning II, which Japan has purchased from the US, is basically a multi-role fighter, not a specialized air superiority plane. Recognizing the urgent need for a homegrown next-generation fighter, Japan began the FX program, a multi-billion-dollar program to develop a sixth-generation aircraft by the 2030s. Rather than start over, Japan perceived value in the YF-23's pioneering design. Through the use of a proven vehicle as a basis, Japan would be able to speed up development, be economical, and install next-generation tech into a years-ahead-of-time aircraft already. The ultimate product? The F-23J, a sixth-generation fighter that will dominate the skies of tomorrow. The new technologies added to the F-20J make it the jack-of-all-trades fighter of modern air-to-air combat. Its most advanced feature may be in stealth, which has been taken to unprecedented levels. While the original YF-23 was difficult to locate in the first place, the F-23J employs plasma-based stealth technology that warps electromagnetic waves to absorb and deflect radar waves. This innovation renders it almost invisible, even to the most sophisticated radar systems. In addition to this, Japan's quantum radar, along with Mitsubishi Electric, allows the F-23J to detect the stealth fighter jets, such as the J-20 and Su-57, eradicating their greatest advantage and leaving Japan in the premier position of air superiority. Aside from stealth capability, the propulsion system of the F-23J makes it stand out from its predecessors and competitors. Japan's IHI Corporation has developed the advanced XF91 turbofan engine, which allows the aircraft to cruise at supercruise velocities above Mach 2.5, far beyond the capability of any F-22 Raptor. Record-breaking bursts of hypersonic speed above Mach 5 have been achieved in flight tests, and the F-23J may be the fastest fighter plane ever conceived. The combination of speed and stealth ensures the F-23J can enter and leave combat at will, enjoying a tactical upper hand in any fight. The incorporation of artificial intelligence places the battle performance of the F-23J on an even greater level. With its flight system managed by AI, the jet is able to dogfight automatically, using real-time analyzed data to predict adversary movement and alter flight paths accordingly. This not only enhances pilot performance, but also reduces response time on high-threat missions. The AI-powered system is designed to assess danger in the blink of an eye, launch countermeasures independently without the intervention of a human entity, and even engage coalition forces in real-time conversation, making the F-23J a smart and reactive warfighter. The second innovation of the F-23J is the integration of its loyal wingman drone feature, which allows the fighter to command an armada of drones AI-capable. The drones serve as carriers of missiles for faraway combat, reconnaissance vessels for instantaneous battlefield intel gathering, and electronic warfare specialists with jamming capabilities on the enemy's radar. By engaging these unmanned aircraft, the F-23J is a more effective instrument of war and reduces the risk to human pilots. The system turns the aircraft into something greater than a fighter aircraft. It is a force multiplier with the ability to control the air battle like never before, with unprecedented accuracy, acumen, and firepower. The fighter jet capabilities put it on par with the world's leading fighter planes. Compared to America's F-22 Raptor, the F-23J outshines its ancestor in stealth capabilities as well as in speed. Whereas the F-22 enjoys a high agility and close air combat capability, the F-23J, with its emphasis on long-distance combat and associated drone system, is far more versatile. Where the F-35 Lightning II is essentially an air-to-ground, multi-role combat aircraft, the F-23J is specifically an air supremacy fighter designed to dominate the airspace. To counter China's J-20 Mighty Dragon, the F-23J is the big threat. The J-20's strongest suit is its long-range strike capability, but the F-23J's quantum radar system, a next-generation system capable of detecting stealth fighters, renders the J-20's stealth capability irrelevant. The F-23J also leaves Russia's Su-57 Felon in its rear-view mirror with respect to speed and electronic warfare capabilities. Coupled with hypersonic propulsion and AI-powered combat systems, the F-23J could even potentially take out enemy fighters before they even knew it was coming. The F-23J has made waves within the global defense community. For decades, China has regarded itself as the dominant air power in the Indo-Pacific and has been concerned about increasing military power of Japan. Stealth capabilities and extended range of the F-23J pose an immediate threat to China's J-20s and may negate Beijing's regional strategic advantage. Russia has also noticed, with military analysts speculating that the F-23J might outclass the Su-57 and push Moscow to fast-track development of its own sixth-generation fighter. Even Japan's closest allies reacted in ambivalence. The United States, while it backs Japan's military modernization, is wary of the F-23J's potential to rival its own future air superiority programs. South Korea and Australia, however, are considering collaborative partnerships with Japan to co-develop next-generation fighter technologies. Japan's defense ministry has grand plans for the F-23J, and the first prototype is expected to take its first flight by 2027. The F-23J is slated to go into production in full by the early 2030s, with at least 100 units expected to be deployed. Japan is developing a carrier-based variant of the F-23J to equip future aircraft carriers in the future. In addition, the country is working on a hypersonic bomber that will be using much of the technology created by the F-23J. With the F-23J as its top aircraft, Japan is not just enhancing its own defense, but emerging as a world aerospace technology leader. Export negotiations for possible export orders already exist, and countries like Australia and the United Kingdom are already showing interest in buying the planes. What was junk is now Japan's finest war treasure. The F-23J, Phoenix risen from the ashes of the YF-23, will offer air superiority revolutionary in hypersonic speed, computer war, and unmatched stealth. The revival of the YF-23 as the F-23J is a jewel in the history of military aviation. The cutting-edge fighter, once branded as a failure, is staging a comeback in dramatic style, equipped with the best technology and a new mission to safeguard Japan's airspace. Unmatched stealth, hypersonic power, and AI combat systems put the F-23J poised to revolutionize the balance of power in the Indo-Pacific region in the world. The YF-23's main radar-absorbent materials were supplemented with plasma-based stealth technology, a new platform that reflects electromagnetic waves to substantially cut the airplane's radar footprint. The aircraft's electromagnetic wave absorbers and composite materials make the plane essentially radar invisible, as well as infrared invisible. If the fighter jet is a success, it will not be long before Japan is a player in the ranks of world super defense exporters, joining Australia and the UK most likely to modernize their own forces with advanced Japanese fighter jets. To that extent, the F-23J is less a weapon than a statement that Japan is setting itself up as one of the world's leading defense forces. Apart from the technical marvel of the air fighter, its revival has behemoth's psychological effects on global defense policy. War is guns, but also mind, and in reviving the YF-23 in a totally different incarnation, Japan has declared a paradigm shift in its defense policy. This move forces competitors like China and Russia to recalculate their own mathematics on the military, because the rebirth of an airplane that was considered too advanced when it flew decades ago leaves one wondering. Military planners must redo their strategic calculus now that they understand Japan is no longer merely playing defense, but is actively building its way toward regional air superiority. The introduction of the F-23J to the Indo-Pacific rebalances power and causes competitors to redeploy resources in order to combat this nascent threat. Slowness costs as much as defeat in this war, and Japan's move to resurrect the YF-23 is a strategic maneuver to make competitors hold back. The F-23J is far more than a replica of the YF-23. Japan has redesigned it from scratch, and it is among the world's top fighters. The heart of the F-23J is an entirely new stealth system that outperforms anything of the last generation. The YF-23's early radar-absorbent materials have now been replaced by plasma-based stealth technology, a newer system that deflects electromagnetic waves off to decrease the radar signature of the aircraft dramatically. The electromagnetic wave absorbers and the composite materials used in the aircraft also make it essentially invisible to radar and infrared detection systems. This shift is more than simple perception. It suggests a dramatic shift in Japanese military policy. Japan's self-defense forces for decades had been structured around an interception-centered air force, designed primarily to defend against threats approaching and not to project force. The coming of the F-23J, however, signals that Japan no longer contentedly protects only its airspace. Instead, it is turning towards a preemptive policy in which it can strike threats even before they enter Japan's borders. Apart from being a huge defense development, the F-23J is also a massive economic and industrial success for Japan. Producing a next-generation fighter aircraft has been about protecting one's nation. It's also about world economic and technological domination. With billions of dollars already invested in the project, Japan's defense industry is experiencing a historic boom, with thousands of high-tech positions created and innovation in aerospace engineering, avionics, and weaponry. Most importantly, this program is part of a broader effort to wean Japan away from American defense technology so that future military capabilities will remain under Japanese control. After being relegated to the pages of history, the YF-23 has been resurrected as the F-23, one of the most advanced fighter planes in the world. With next-generation stealth technology, hypersonic capabilities, and AI warfare, Japan is making a statement. It will not be left behind in the race for arms. But Japan's rise to air dominance won't be easy. While China and Russia are barreling toward their own sixth-generation fighter projects, the skies of the Indo-Pacific are becoming increasingly contested on a scale unseen before. Will the F-23J forever solidify Japan's position as an air power giant, or has it just paved the way for the next great aerial armaments race? Forget everything you thought you knew about tanks. While the powerful M112 Abrams and the formidable KF-51 Panther grab the spotlight with their firepower, Japan's Type 10 is quietly changing the game. Sleek, fast, and adaptable, this tank is built for more than just combat. It's designed for precision and speed. Whether it's taking on enemy tanks, making quick strikes, or handling the most challenging battle scenarios, the Type 10 excels. But what makes this Japanese beast stand out from the rest? Could it be more formidable than the United States and Germany's battle tanks? Join us as we explore all of the intriguing reasons why this Japanese tank will change everything. 70 years ago, on July 5, 1943, the Battle of Kursk began, becoming one of the deadliest tank battles in history. The skies over the Russian city of Kursk exploded with firepower as German tanks, including the fearsome Tigers and massive Ferdinand tank destroyers, charged into battle. These German tanks were deadly machines, built to crush their enemies with overwhelming force. One German tank commander even managed to destroy 22 Soviet tanks in under an hour, demonstrating the power of these war machines. But the Soviets didn't back down. With over 6,000 heavy tanks of their own, the Russian forces fought with determination. They used close-quarters tactics, planting mines under the German tanks to disable them. Despite the Germans' powerful tanks, the Russians' fierce resistance and dangerous strategies turned the tide of the battle. After 8 intense days, the German tanks were worn down and unable to continue their attack. The Soviet counteroffensives then crushed the German forces, delivering a crushing blow to their ability to fight on the Eastern Front. The Battle of Kursk proved just how deadly tanks can be, changing the course of the war and altering who holds the upper hand. Tanks, with their armored shells and powerful guns, have long been feared on the battlefield. Whether it's the terrifying German Tigers or the Soviet T-34s, these machines have always been designed for sheer destruction. Their firepower and strength make them some of the most lethal weapons ever built for war. In modern times, tanks remain just as deadly. Though air power has dominated modern warfare, the presence of these massive machines continues to intimidate adversaries. The US and Germany have long led the way in tank development, but now Japan has joined this exclusive group. With the introduction of its own advanced Type 10 tank, Japan might just have secured its place among the nations that wield some of the world's most potent and formidable military machines. The development of the Type 10 main battle tank began in 2002 by Japan's Technical Research and Development Institute. By 2006, a prototype was ready, and testing took place in 2007 and 2008. After completing further trials on shooting and networking, TRDI finished the development in 2009 and started full production in 2010. The Type 10 MBT was designed to replace Japan's older Type 74 and Type 90 tanks. It features significant upgrades in areas like mobility, protection, firepower, and overall performance, making it one of the world's top 10 battle tanks. Japan's journey with modern tanks began in the 1960s when it became clear that the older Type 61 wouldn't be able to keep up with newer Soviet designs like the T-62. To address this, Mitsubishi Heavy Industries began developing a new tank, which became the Type 74. The first prototype was completed in 1969, and the tank entered full production by 1975. The Type 74 was designed using ideas from Western tanks, placing it in the same category as the M60 Patton and the Leopard 1. However, by the time the tank entered service in the 1980s, newer and more advanced Western designs were already available, leaving the Type 74 outdated even before it fully joined the Army. Production ended in 1989, and only about 890 units were built. The Japanese Ground Self-Defense Force was the only operator of this tank, as Japanese laws prohibited military exports. The Type 74 design included a cast turret similar to that of the French AMX-30. It was armed with a 105mm rifled gun, which was the British L7 gun made under license in Japan. Early prototypes of the Type 74 had an autoloader, but it was removed due to complexity and cost. The tank was initially equipped with high explosive rounds, but later upgraded to more advanced armor-piercing rounds. It carried 55 rounds for the main gun, with 14 rounds stored in the turret and the rest in the hull. One of the exceptional features of the Type 74 was its fire control system, which was revolutionary at the time. It was the first tank in the world to include a computer for ballistic calculations and a laser rangefinder. Later versions of the tank were upgraded with infrared imagers, which made the tank even more effective in combat. The secondary weapons included a 7.62 coaxial machine gun and a 12.7mm machine gun mounted on the roof. The Type 74 also featured an all-welded hull, NBC protection, also known as nuclear, biological, and chemical protection, and an automatic fire suppression system. It had a crew of 4, a commander, gunner, loader, and driver. Over the years, the Type 74 became outdated, and Japan moved forward with the development of the Type 10, which is now one of the most advanced tanks on the global stage. The Type 10 is an embodiment of Japan's military innovation and a formidable force in modern armored warfare, joining a select group of nations, including the US and Germany, with access to such powerful battle tanks. With its cutting-edge technology, high maneuverability, and superior performance, the Type 10 is now a key player in Japan's defense strategy, marking a new chapter in the evolution of military tanks. The Type 10 MBT is equipped with a sophisticated turret featuring an automatic loading system. This advanced system allows the turret to rotate 360 degrees, ensuring it can track and target enemy forces from any direction. The tank is armed with a powerful 120mm L44 smoothbore gun, which is manufactured by Japan's Steelworks under license. This gun offers immense firepower and precision, making it a formidable weapon on the battlefield. The 120mm L44 smoothbore gun is capable of using all standard NATO 120mm rounds, as well as those specifically designed for the Japanese Ground Self-Defense Force. However, the most intriguing feature is the Type 10's ability to fire the Type 10 APFSDS, or armor-piercing, fin-stabilized, discarding sabot round. This unique round is specially designed for the Type 10 and can only be fired by this tank's gun, giving it a significant edge in terms of firepower over its competitors. One of the key innovations in the Type 10 is the auto-loading mechanism, which eliminates the need for a dedicated crew member to load the gun. As a result, the Type 10 operates with a smaller crew of just 3, the commander and gunner in the turret, and the driver in the hull. This reduction in crew size contributes to the tank's efficiency and overall performance, while also minimizing the risk to personnel. The auto-loading mechanism is housed in the rear section of the turret, giving the tank its distinctive appearance. The gun is aimed with the help of a set of advanced sighting arrays that provide 360-degree visibility, both day and night. These sighting systems offer exceptional target identification and tracking capabilities, even in low-visibility conditions. Additionally, the barrel of the gun is fitted with a muzzle reference sensor located to the right of the muzzle. This sensor plays a crucial role by detecting any slight deformation or warp in the barrel, ensuring the gun maintains optimal accuracy at all times. However, the most important question is how effective and formidable it really is when compared to battle tanks from other developed nations. So how does the Type 10 compare to the United States M1A2 Abrams and the German Kf-51? The M1A2 Abrams is one of the strongest and most respected tanks in the world, used by the US Army. Weighing about 68 tons, it combines powerful armor, heavy firepower, and impressive speed for its size. Its main weapon is a 120mm smoothbore gun, capable of firing various types of ammunition. This allows it to destroy heavily armored targets with ease and gives it a big advantage in battle. The tank is operated by a crew of 4 people, a commander, gunner, loader, and driver. Inside, it is packed with advanced technology like thermal imaging, computerized fire control, and reactive armor, which helps it survive enemy attacks. With these features, the M1A2 is not just tough, it's smart too, making it a fearsome opponent on any battlefield. The M1A2 was officially approved for production in 1990 as an upgraded version of the M1A1 Abrams. At first glance, the two tanks look pretty similar, but the M1A2 introduced major improvements on the inside. On the outside, the most significant changes include a redesigned commander's weapon station and a new commander's independent thermal viewer located near the loader's hatch. These upgrades help the tank become even more powerful and effective. One of the most impressive innovations inside the M1A2 is the Inter-Vehicle Information System, also known as IVIS. This smart system lets different vehicles share information with each other instantly and automatically. Thanks to an onboard navigation system, commanders can track their units' locations in real time without distracting the crews. IVAS also lets soldiers quickly mark enemy positions, send artillery requests, and share mission orders. Everything is fast, automatic, and smooth, helping the whole team stay connected in the heat of battle. To keep this valuable information secure, all IVIS data is transmitted through a secure SINCGARS radio system, making it difficult for enemies to intercept. The M1A2 also improves on the hunter-killer method first used by Germany's Leopard 2 tank. With the new commander's independent thermal viewer, the tank commander can now search for targets at any time, day or night, and even through smoke or bad weather, while the gunner focuses on firing. This speeds up the tank's ability to find and destroy enemies before they even know what's happening. Besides IVAS and CITV, the M1A2 also receives several electrical upgrades. Power is now distributed through multiple paths within the tank, so if one part is damaged, electricity can still reach critical systems via backup routes. The driver's controls were updated with a new digital display, and the gunner's primary sight was stabilized better, meaning more accurate shots even when the tank is moving. In 1995, the U.S. Army introduced another improvement, known as the M1A2 SCPOR System Enhancement Package. This upgrade aimed to bring all M1 and M1A2 tanks up to the same modern standard. Major changes included a new auxiliary power unit placed under the armor and an air conditioning system to keep the crew cool during long missions. Inside the tank, upgrades included a color display for the IVAS system, a full-size keyboard, digital maps, graphic generation tools, and even voice recognition. The gunner's sight, the intercom, and radio systems were also improved to make communication faster and clearer during fights. Production of brand new M1A2s stopped after 627 tanks were built. However, the Army began upgrading 547 older M1s to the new M1A2 SCP standard, which involved rebuilding the turret almost completely. Existing M1A2 tanks were also retrofitted to match the SCP upgrades, ensuring all U.S. Army tanks stayed deadly, smart, and ready for modern combat. Comparing the capabilities of the American M1A2 Abrams and Japan's Type 10 is quite interesting. Both are fierce in their own ways, but they were built with very different ideas in mind. One is a massive heavyweight made to crush anything in its path. The other is a fast and smart fighter, made to dance around enemies with speed and technology. Let's dive into what makes these two tanks so unique. First, let's talk about size and weight. The M1A2 Abrams is a giant, tipping the scales at about 68 tons. It's built like a fortress on tracks, able to take a beating and keep moving. On the other hand, the Type 10 is much lighter, weighing around 44 tons. Japan designed it to be fast and agile, perfect for the country's many mountains and tight spaces. While the Abrams is like a heavyweight boxer, the Type 10 is more like a quick and clever martial artist. Both tanks pack serious firepower. The Abrams is armed with a 120mm smoothbore gun that can fire a variety of NATO rounds. This gives it great flexibility against different types of targets, from enemy tanks to bunkers. The Type 10 also uses a 120mm smoothbore gun, built specially by Japan Steelworks. It can fire regular NATO rounds too, but it also has a special trick up its sleeve, the Type 10A PFS-DS round, a unique armor-piercing shell designed for maximum punch against modern armor. The crews inside these tanks are a little different too. The M1A2 Abrams needs 4 soldiers to operate, a commander, a gunner, a loader, and a driver. In contrast, the Type 10 only needs 3 because it has an automatic loading system that handles the job of loading shells into the gun. This not only saves space inside the tank, but also makes it a little lighter and faster. Technology is where both tanks really shine. The M1A2 Abrams is loaded with high-end tech, including thermal imaging to spot enemies day or night, a commander's independent thermal viewer that lets the commander find and mark targets even while the gunner is firing, and the smart inter-vehicle information system, which allows tanks to talk to each other and share battlefield information instantly. The Type 10, while smaller, is no slouch in the technology department either. It has full day and night sights, a muzzle reference sensor that checks if the barrel has warp during battle, and a smart communication system that lets it share data with other units in real time. Plus, the Type 10 can actually adjust its suspension to lower or raise itself, giving it better firing angles or making it harder to hit. Armor is another big difference. The M1A2 Abrams is like a tank in the truest sense. It uses thick composite and reactive armor to survive direct hits. Meanwhile, the Type 10 uses modular armor, which means armor plates can be swapped out depending on the mission. If speed is needed, it can go lighter. If protection is needed, it can bulk up. Eventually, the choice between these two tanks comes down to what one needs on the battlefield. The M1A2 Abrams is a fearsome force, made to dominate in heavy, head-on battles where firepower and protection matter most. The Type 10 is made for fast, smart warfare, where quick moves, good communication, and flexibility win the day. But how do both of them compare to the renowned and formidable KF-51? The defense world has been buzzing about the KF-51 Panther tank, and it's easy to see why. At the heart of its power is a brand new gun called the Future Gun System. It's not just a new paint job. This 130mm gun is a game changer. It's bigger than the usual 120mm guns and fires faster, reaching targets up to 3,500 meters away, about 1,000 meters farther than most tanks. This gives the Panther a considerable advantage. It can hit enemies before they can even fire back. The Future Gun System isn't just strong, it's smart. It can fire regular armor-piercing and explosive rounds, but it also has special programmable ammo that can explode in the air, hitting drones and hidden soldiers. However, it does carry fewer rounds than other tanks. Luckily, the Panther's autoloader system makes up for this. While many Russian tanks have utilized autoloaders for years, this is a new development for German tanks. It allows faster shooting, 2 rounds every 3 seconds, and gives the tank a lower, harder-to-spot profile. Inside, the Panther has 4 seats instead of the usual 3. The extra seat can be used by a drone operator or a company commander. And the Panther isn't just about heavy guns, it's loaded with extra gadgets too. It has a 7.62mm machine gun mounted on top, called the N, that can shoot almost straight up, mainly to defend against enemy drones. It also carries 4 Israeli Hero 120 loitering munitions, which are flying bombs that can circle the sky for an hour before striking. Defense doesn't stop there. The Panther has a top attack protection system to guard against missiles attacking from above. If that fails, there's the rapid obscuring system, which blasts special smoke to block enemy sensors. And if all else fails, the Panther is wrapped in explosive reactive armor that punches back at incoming weapons. But the Panther is not just muscle, it's brains too. Thanks to NATO's new tech rules, it's designed to easily accept new upgrades. It can send live info across the battlefield, acting like a scout and a fighter all at once. Using small drones, the Panther can spy far ahead without putting itself in danger. For all this gear, one might think the Panther would be slow. Not at all. It weighs just 59 tons, lighter than the 70-ton M1 Abrams, and its 1,500 horsepower engine gives it a power-to-weight ratio of 25. This means it can climb steep hills, cross trenches, ford deep water, and still hit speeds of 70 kilometers per hour. It can also travel over 500 kilometers on a single tank of gas. When compared to tanks like America's M1 Abrams and Russia's T-14 Armata, the Panther stands out. The M1 Abrams is powerful but heavier and less nimble. The T-14 has advanced ideas but has struggled with real-world use. The Panther, combining firepower, protection, speed, and smart tech, looks to be the best of the three. The Northrop YF-23, also called the Black Widow II, is one of the most fascinating jets the United States Air Force has ever flown. Only 2 were built between the late 1980s and early 1990s as part of something called the Advanced Tactical Fighter Competition. The goal was to build a next-generation replacement for the F-15 Eagle that could handle rising Soviet threats like the Sukhoi 27 and the MiG-29. Northrop partnered with McDonnell Douglas, while their competition was a powerhouse trio, Lockheed, Boeing, and General Dynamics, who came up with the YF-23. After nearly 4 years of designing, testing, and evaluating, the Air Force went with Lockheed's jet. It eventually became the F-22 Raptor. And just like that, the YF-23 project was shut down. But here's the twist. Over time, the YF-23 didn't fade away. Instead, it built a cult following among aviation fans. A lot of them believe it was the better fighter. Today, there's growing buzz around the YF-23, and it's coming from an unexpected place: Japan. Why? Japan is developing its own advanced fighter, and some voices in the defense world have floated the idea that Japan might revive or even adapt the YF-23 design for its F-3 program. In 1981, the U.S. Air Force put out a request for information on the ATF program, looking for an aircraft that could pull off something pretty ambitious, combining stealth technology with high speed, agility, and cutting-edge avionics all in one package. Northrop's stealth team, many of whom had already cut their teeth working on the B-2 bomber, dove into exploring 3 different approaches. They considered an agile fighter featuring canted tails, an ultra-stealthy design they dubbed the Christmas tree, and what became known as the high stealth fighter concept, which tried to strike the right balance between staying invisible and remaining maneuverable. The HSF design was particularly interesting, incorporating diamond-shaped wings and all-moving V-tails that the engineers nicknamed rudder vaders. They also integrated engine exhaust troughs and made sure all the edges lined up just right to minimize both radar and infrared signatures. The whole idea of a Japanese version of the YF-23 mostly comes from speculative media stories and defense analysts trying to picture how Northrop might get involved in Japan's F-3 fighter program. According to a report from DJI magazine, Northrop Grumman put together a stealth fighter concept for Japan sometime around the year 2018. And yes, it looked a lot like the YF-23. The article says Northrop responded to Japan's request for information and even had early talks with defense officials. Instead of pitching a full design, they offered a menu of technologies, which is kind of a mix-and-match toolkit. Still, some writers started wondering if Northrop might tweak the YF-23 to fit what Tokyo was looking for. Interest around the idea kept growing, thanks to the jet's reputation. Some observers even claimed it outperformed the F-22. Back in 2018, Reuters reported that Japan was hoping to bring in international partners to help cover development costs, which were expected to top $40 billion, and to tap into advanced tech that would otherwise take years to build from scratch. Both Lockheed Martin and Northrop Grumman responded to Japan's outreach, but Tokyo made it clear the core systems like avionics, sensors, and engines had to be developed in Japan. By October of 2020, Japan's Ministry of Defense picked Mitsubishi Heavy Industries, or MHI, as the lead contractor for the fighter program. MHI would head the project while still looking for a foreign partner. Then in 2022, Japan made a big move. It merged its FX program with the UK's Tempest and Italy's Future Combat Air System. Together, they formed the Global Combat Air Program, GCAP. That decision officially closed the door on a solo Japanese fighter and any chance of reviving the YF-23 for Tokyo. The program focuses on 5 key goals: dominating future air battles, integrating next-gen tech, making upgrades easy, involving Japan's domestic industry, and keeping costs under control. Japan's vision includes radar systems that can spot stealth aircraft, plus the ability to receive targeting data from drones, other jets, and airborne early warning planes. They are also studying advanced sensor fusion, network battlespace management, and high-res infrared imaging. Here is what that looks like in practice. A Japanese F-3 on patrol over the East China Sea has its radar detect what might be a stealth aircraft trying to stay hidden, maybe a Chinese J-20 operating at long range. At the same time, the fighter receives targeting information sent directly from an unmanned drone flying ahead, plus data from other F-3 aircraft in the area, and one of those big airborne radar planes circling further back. All this information gets processed together in real time. The pilot doesn't just see one radar screen anymore. They get a complete picture that combines infrared imaging, showing heat signatures, electronic signals the aircraft picks up, and position data from multiple sources. The system automatically sorts through all this information and presents the most important threats first. When the pilot decides to engage, the decision is not based on what one aircraft can see. The targeting data has been cross-checked and verified by multiple platforms, all working together as one connected network. The missile guidance can even be updated mid-flight using information from any of these sources. The fighter is expected to feature conformal radar antennas, electronic support gear, and countermeasures to jam or deceive enemy systems. Japan's defense minister, Taro Kono, has said the FX will be highly networked and carry more missiles than the F-35. Here is what that means in real terms. Instead of having a traditional radar dish that sticks out and creates drag, the FX will have radar antennas that are molded right into the skin of the aircraft. Pilots won't even see them from the outside, but they'll be scanning in all directions. The electronic support equipment works like advanced ears. It listens for enemy radar signals, radio communications, and electronic emissions to figure out what threats are out there. When something hostile tries to lock onto the aircraft, the countermeasures kick in. These systems can jam enemy radars by flooding them with false signals, or they can send out decoy signals that make the aircraft appear to be somewhere it's not. Kono's comment about carrying more missiles than the F-35 is significant. The F-35 typically carries 4 missiles internally to maintain its stealth profile, or up to 6 if they are willing to compromise stealth by mounting some externally. The FX is being designed with larger internal weapon bays, so it might carry 6 or 8 missiles while staying completely stealthy. Japan's F-3, now part of the GCAP initiative, will be a brand new aircraft built around Japan's own needs, tech, and industrial goals. Still, the YF-23's influence is hard to ignore. Its design philosophy, stealth-first shaping, long-range capability, and the reminder that the best ideas don't always win continue to shape how future fighters are imagined. So why does the YF-23 still turn heads? Because it wasn't just a jet, it was a pivot point in fighter design. It illustrated how radically different philosophies, politics, marketing muscle, and export controls can impact which aircraft gets built and which one fades into the footnotes. Even though the world may not see a Japanese YF-23, Japan's new fighter program is chasing some of the exact same ideas that made Northrop's original design so compelling. The F-3, sometimes called FX, is being built as a 6th-generation fighter, and when people look at what they are trying to achieve, long-range, heavy weapons capacity, advanced networking, it's like they took notes from the YF-23 playbook. Japan's laid out 5 main goals for this project: dominating future air battles, being able to integrate whatever new tech comes along, making upgrades simple, getting Japanese companies involved, and keeping costs reasonable. Pretty straightforward stuff, but the devil's in the details. What's interesting is how Japan's thinking about sensors and connectivity. They want advanced radar systems that can spot stealth aircraft, which is no small feat. But it goes beyond that. This fighter needs to pull targeting data from drones, other fighters, and big airborne early warning planes. Basically, it's designed to be the quarterback in a networked battle. They are diving deep into integrated sensor research, working on network-centered battlefield management, and developing high-resolution infrared imaging. The aircraft will probably get conformal radar antennas built right into the airframe, plus electronic support measures and countermeasures. Defense Minister Taro Kono has been pretty clear about expectations. The jet needs serious network capabilities and should carry more missiles than the F-35. When aviators think about it, these specs line up perfectly with what the YF-23 was designed for. Both aircraft prioritize stealth and long-range combat over old-school dogfighting skills. In modern air warfare, having better sensors and flying faster matters way more than being able to turn tight circles. The F-3 is designed to have serious technology. There are rumors about stealth shaping, radar-absorbent materials, and digital fly-by-light control systems, which are the cutting edge of fighter aircraft design. A lot of what they have learned will come from the X-2 Shinshin, Japan's experimental stealth demonstrator that's been their testing ground for new ideas. The X-2 gave them hands-on experience with composite structures, thrust vectoring paddles, and tapered wings designed for agility. Japan's also been studying how to hide weapons inside the aircraft to keep that radar signature low. Plus, they are looking at thrust deflection nozzles to boost maneuverability. Here is where it gets interesting. The original YF-23 didn't have thrust vectoring and relied purely on its airframe design for maneuvering. The F-3 might combine both approaches, using smart aerodynamic shaping and thrust control to get the best of both worlds. For the engine, Japan's IHI Corporation has been working on the XF9 specifically for this project. They started testing engine components back in 2015, with prototypes planned through 2018. The XF9 is designed for a high thrust-to-weight ratio and should pack more punch than the XF5 they used in the X2. Range is a big deal for Japan. The F3s are expected to be bigger than the F-23 because they need space for more fuel and weapons. Aviation reporter Bradley Perrett started calling the concept Godzilla because of how large it's supposed to be. That focus on range shows what made the YF-23 attractive back in the day. What would a Japanese YF-23 actually look like? Japan is not building an actual YF-23, but it is worth thinking about how Northrop's design ideas influence the F-3. The shape would be key: diamond or trapezoidal wings flowing smoothly into the fuselage, with every surface angled to send radar signals bouncing away rather than back to whoever's looking. The entire aircraft would follow one rule: be invisible first, handle everything else after. But there is a twist. The original YF-23 didn't use thrust vectoring nozzles. It relied on careful aerodynamic design and smart engine placement for control. Japan has been studying thrust deflection though, so they would probably blend both approaches. They would use Northrop's sleek stealth design combined with modern thrust control for situations where aerodynamics alone aren't enough. This wouldn't be built for close-in aerial combat. Instead, it would excel at spotting threats from far away, launching missiles at long range, and disappearing before the enemy even knows what happened. It would act as a long-range interceptor with exceptional stealth capabilities. This is all theoretical, of course. The YF-23 had this clever SERN system that was good at hiding engine heat. For any Japanese fighter, that same capability would be crucial because today's air defense systems are incredibly good at tracking heat signatures. Japan's been working on high-power microwave technology and advanced heat transfer systems to tackle exactly these problems. The F-3 could easily borrow cooling methods and exhaust shaping from the YF-23 to keep its heat signature low. Here is something interesting. The original YF-23 prototypes never actually carried their mission avionics. Northrop tested all that sensor equipment in labs on the ground and in other aircraft. But modern air combat is completely different. Today's fighters need to be information hubs that can talk to everything else in the battle. Japan's been planning for this from day one. Their F-3 concept builds in sensor fusion and data links right from the start. So if people imagine a Japanese version of the YF-23, it would have sensor capabilities that blow the original prototypes out of the water. Aviators are talking about systems that pull together data from radar, infrared search and track, and electronic support measures, then share all that information across the entire battlefield in real time. The original YF-23 was impressive for its time, but this hypothetical Japanese version would be operating in a completely networked environment where every piece of information gets shared instantly with allies. That's a huge leap from where fighter technology was in the 1980s and 90s. Here is where Japan's approach differs from what Northrop was thinking back then. Japan wants their F-3 to be highly maneuverable. That's why they tested thrust vectoring paddles on the X2. But Northrop took the opposite route with the YF-23. They ditched thrust vectoring entirely to keep the weight down and focused on making the airframe as aerodynamically clean as possible. Japanese engineers will probably split the difference. They might combine smart aerodynamic design with some thrust vectoring to handle high angle of attack situations. But if Japan really wants a long-range interceptor that can hit targets way out over the Pacific, then the YF-23's focus on range and fuel efficiency still makes a lot of sense. There is another big reason why Japan won't just build a modernized YF-23. They want to keep the profits at home and make sure their aerospace industry stays sharp. Licensing a foreign design doesn't accomplish that goal. Even though nobody's building another YF-23, its story offers some useful lessons for Japan and anyone else designing next-generation fighters. The lessons boil down to priorities, presentation, and partnerships. Northrop skipped thrust vectoring to save weight, but that hurt their agility scores. Modern fighters don't have to make that same trade-off. Engineers can have both aerodynamic shaping and thrust vectoring if they design it right. Japan's F-3 program is looking at thrust deflection nozzles and integrated weapons bays. The key is balancing these technologies instead of going all in on just one approach. Here is something people don't talk about much. Northrop lost partly because they were terrible at marketing. Lockheed knew how to put on a show and impress the people making decisions. Japan's fighter program is going to need public and political support for decades. Sure, demonstrators like the X-2 and cool concept art get people excited, but engineers need steady communication about what you're accomplishing and why it matters. Northrop's YF-23 would have been expensive to build for just one customer. Look what happened to the F-22. They only made 187 of them before shutting down production. Japan's program isn't just about getting a new fighter. They want to keep their aerospace industry healthy and maybe even sell these aircraft to other countries. That means controlling costs and building domestic supply chains. The YF-23's canceled production shows how fast programs can die if they don't have a solid industrial foundation. Northrop had brilliant engineers, but they kept to themselves too much, and that hurt their chances. Japan's F-3 will only work if they mix their talent with expertise from other countries. The GCAP deal with the United Kingdom and Italy shows they understand this. Building advanced fighters is a global effort now. Sharing costs and technology makes the whole thing less risky. Japan's F-3 and GCAP projects are moving forward. They are planning for a prototype in the next few years and want it in service by the mid-30s. Whether it succeeds will depend on how well they balance stealth, range, agility, sensor integration, and cost. The YF-23 was an impressive aircraft that pushed what was possible with stealth and speed technology. It proved that engineers can design fighters around completely different priorities, and that sometimes even the better design doesn't win for reasons that have nothing to do with engineering. Japan's fighter program won't copy the YF-23, but aviators can see its influence in what they are planning. That focus on stealth, range, and trying new approaches, that's still driving the next generation of fighters being developed today. When people see headlines talking about a Japanese YF-23, it is important to remember the real story is more compelling than the hype. Japan is not rebuilding an old American design. They're creating their path forward, taking lessons from past projects like the YF-23 and applying them to their current needs. What they end up building will probably be a serious piece of military hardware, designed specifically for Japan's strategic situation and incorporating lessons from both the YF-22 and the YF-23 programs. For people who love aviation, the YF-23 will always represent what could have been. But more than that, it shows how innovation keeps moving forward, even when specific projects don't make it to production. The ideas live on and shape what comes next.
The United States has constantly been in the limelight for its insane innovations and the development of advanced weapons that the world has never seen before. But now there has been a significant shift that has garnered a lot of attention and raised intrigued eyebrows across several nations. In the Middle East, Japan has become the talk of the town due to its newly developed aircraft, a fighter jet that is worth billions of United States dollars. This development has not only struck fear in the hearts of its enemies, but has shocked the world in general. It has also given rise to questions like, does this new innovation stand as a force to be reckoned with? Why was this aircraft rejected by the United States? Join us as we delve into the intriguing features of the new Japanese aircraft that shocked the whole world. Ever since the development of advanced and sophisticated weapons was deemed important in order to get the upper hand in conflicts, the mantle of technological development has constantly shifted from the United States to China and even Russia. Interestingly, Japan has also made it into the spotlight for the development of its own fighter that features unrivaled capabilities. The question on everyone's mind is, what is this new development? Well, Japan's new fighter jet got its inspiration from the Northrop YF-23, which is equally an advanced fighter jet that is renowned for its unrivaled features. It was first made as a prototype in the Advanced Tactical Fighter program. This program began in the late 90s with the aim of creating a fighter that could perform several roles, be used in different kinds of missions, and replace old but renowned F-15 and F-16 fighter jets. In its quest for a perfect option or inspiration, the top aviation companies all presented their ideas for Japan's new jet. But Northrop's design caught their attention, and they decided to make something similar but even better. This YF-23 aircraft was expected to take the place of the revered F-15 and F-16 jets. It simply means that the YF-23 must surpass them in terms of capabilities, speed, and effectiveness. Let us have a look at some of the features of these old fighters and decide if the YF-23 is really up to the task, or if it's a great inspiration for the Japanese. The General Dynamics F-16 Fighting Falcon is a fast and versatile American fighter plane. It was first made by General Dynamics for the United States Air Force and was designed to be really good at fighting in the air during the day. Over 400 of these planes have been built since 1976. In 1993, General Dynamics sold the part of their company that was in charge of making aircraft to Lockheed Corporation, and after the merger with Martin Marietta in 1995, it successfully became a part of Lockheed Martin. This fighter boasts some really interesting features, like a canopy without a frame, which serves to help the pilot have better vision, a control stick on the side to make the jet easier to maneuver, and a seat that is comfortable and designed to reduce the force on the pilot during quick movement. In addition to the comfortable feature in the cockpit, there is also a special flight control system that makes it very agile. Maintaining its stealth ability, the fighter has 11 different places that can be used to store extra things like weapons and ammunition inside the cannon. Another intriguing specification of the F-16 is that it was made to be less expensive to build and easier to maintain when compared to the older fighters before it. The frame of the jet is made up of special types of metals like aluminum, steel, composites, and titanium. The parts, like the flaps, stabilizer, and fins, use string structures made of bonded aluminum honeycomb and coated with graphite epoxy lamination. Unlike older aircraft, it has fewer points that need lubrication, fuel connections, and parts that might need to be replaced. Interestingly, over 80% of the access panels can be reached without using stands. Despite the original flight hours of this jet being designed to last for over 40 hours and handle 7.33 grams with 80% internal fuel, the developers decided to make its frame last for 8 hours instead and designed it to handle a 9-gram maneuvers with full internal fuel. This decision turned out to be the best when the jet used changed from just air-to-air combat to handling different missions. As the aircraft for more systems and weight along the line, strengthening programs were needed to keep it strong, efficient, and reliable. F-15. Eagle, on the other hand, is a powerful American fighter jet that is equipped with 2 engines. In 1969, the United States Air Force chose the design after selecting from several. The Eagle, as it is popularly called, took its first flight in July 1972, and it became fully operational in 1976. This aircraft is considered one of the most successful and efficient modern fighters after having more than 100 wins in air combat and no losses recorded. Most of these victories were achieved by the Israeli Air Force. Another unique fact concerning the Eagle is that, even though it was made specially for air battles, it also had features that made it useful for ground attacks. Because of its flexibility, a better version called the F-15 Strike Eagle was created for an all-weather attack from 1989. This version was then sold out to other countries, where the different variants were made over time. The United States Air Force planned to replace all their original air superiority F-15s with the F-22 Raptor by 2010, but unfortunately, they could not get enough of the F-22, so they had to keep using the Strike Eagle II, the FF-15EX, which is planned to remain in service with the U.S. Air Force until the 2030s. Many countries make the F-15, and there are still new and improved versions being developed. It operates on two Pratt and Whitney F-100 with afterburners. The engines are put next to each other in the aircraft's body and get air through rectangular openings with adequate intake ramps. The pilot's seat is high in the front part of the jet, with a big windshield and a large canopy similar to the one found in the F-16. This feature helps the pilot see better. Also, the frame of the plane was made using advanced superplastically formed titanium parts in the 1980s. Are there other features that make the F-15 unique? Absolutely. The jet can make a tight turn without the need to slow down because it has a low weight-to-wind ratio. It can also go up to 30,000 feet in about 60 seconds. When it's flying at a particular speed, the engines can produce more thrust than the weight and the air resistance combined, which allows the jet to fly really fast. The weapons and controls are made so that one person can handle air-to-air combat well. Deviating from the normal design, the A and C models have one seat and are mainly used for air superiority, while the B and D models have a second seat for training. The E model uses the second seat found in the cockpit for someone who's in charge of handling the weapon system. Unlike many other modern fighters, this aircraft does have the typical aerodynamic exhaust pedals covering the engine nozzles. This is because there were problems with them during the development, like coming off during flight so that they would be removed even though it would increase the aerodynamic drag by 3%. The fighter jet once flew with only one wing after an Israeli F-15D had a mid-air collision with an A-4 Skyhawk in 1983 during the Negev mid-air collision. Most of the right wing was gone, but the pilot, Zvi Nadivi, used full afterburner and landed twice as fast as normal at Ramon Air Base, successfully. Wind tunnel tests on a model with one wing showed that controlled flight was possible only within a small speed range and angle of attack. This event led to research on technology that can adapt to damage and a system called Intelligent Flight Control System. Now that we have an idea of what the Japanese aircraft is up against, let's go into the features and design of the aircraft and confirm if it truly surpasses the F-15 and F-16 in terms of capability and advancement. As mentioned earlier, the Japanese aircraft was inspired by the YF-23's development, so it's only normal that we take a look at the features of this jet to get a better picture of what the Japanese Mitsubishi F-3 might be like. The YF-23 fighter was designed with stealth technology as a main idea. The shape of the plane is made in such a way that radar beams bounce away, making it hard to detect. The plane also goes really fast, up to 1,093 miles per hour, and can move really well. It has a unique wing shape called the flowing wing, which helps it not stand out easily. Additionally, it has a super advanced system with some parts using artificial intelligence. The YF-23, also known as DP-117K, is a unique-looking plane. It has diamond-shaped wings, a shape that helped reduce air resistance at high speeds, and a V-shaped tail that could move in all directions. The cockpit was high up, near the front, for the pilot to see well. The jet had 3 wheels for landing, with 1 in the front and 2 at the back. The place where the weapons are kept on the fighter is under the fuselages between the front and back wheels. Also, it is powered by 2 turbofan engines, each of which can be found in a separate part of the plane's spine with special ducts to protect the engines from radar waves. The front side of the engine has trapezoid inlets with special panels to absorb turbulence and direct it over the winds. Well, there were 2 YF-23 fighters that were built, and the first one, also referred to as PAV-1, had Pratt & Whitney YF-119 engines, while the second, PAV-2, was powered by General Electric YF-120 engines. The aircraft generally makes use of a single explanation ramp nozzle and doesn't use thrust vectoring like the YF-22. The exhaust from the engines went through troughs with cooled tiles to release heat and make the engine invisible from infrared homing missiles that are positioned below it. Its engines and aerodynamics allow it to fly really fast at a speed of 1.6 without using afterburners. Its computer system controlled how the plane moved in the air. To make the jet roll, or tilt to the side, the computer lifted the flaps and ailerons on one side while lowering them on the other. The V-shaped tail fins were tilted at a 50-degree angle from upright. To make the plane go up or down, the computer turned the tail fins in different directions. Turning the tail fins in the same direction made the plane turn sideways. According to test pilot Paul Metz, the fighter jet could handle high angles of attack really well, even up to 60 degrees. If the computer lowered the wing flaps and raised the ailerons on both sides at the same time, it helped slow down the plane in the air. To save money while building the prototype, some parts from other planes like the F-15 and FA-18 were used. With all these features, it should have been the perfect inspiration for any fighter jet. But that didn't happen. This is because Lockheed Martin developed a model of the renowned F-22 Raptor. Both fighters met all the performance requirements. The YF-23 was practically invisible and could be extremely fast, and the Lockheed fighter could undergo tight maneuvers. Despite the technical superiority of the YF-22, the United States selected the F-22 Raptor as their main fighter. However, despite the rejection of this fighter, which possesses intriguing capabilities, one nation worked towards reviving it, making it better than before, and designing it with advanced features that even the United States did not foresee. Let us move on to how Japan came into all of this. At a time when the United States banned the sale of the F-22 Raptor to protect its advanced technology, including its stealth capabilities, Japan was unable to purchase the F-22. This resulted in them thinking about producing their own formidable fighter jet. At the same time, the FX program was initiated, with an estimated value of more than $45 billion. Definitely, building an advanced fighter comes at a price. Making their thoughts materialize, in October 2020, Mitsubishi was awarded the right to develop a new fighter jet. Instead of doing everything from scratch, the developers decided to buy out a project that was rejected by another country. Guess what? It happened that the project was the YF-23, and it was used to create the latest Japanese fighter jet. Let's dive into how Japan transformed this rejected fighter into something that has struck fear and admiration in the hearts of many. The Mitsubishi F-3 is a sixth-generation fighter jet designed to gain air superiority. For this purpose, Japanese experts incorporated the most promising technologies, including the possibility of deploying a combat laser or electromagnetic weapons. This helped to make the aircraft the most dangerous opponent for any enemy. It was created to make the country's defense industry stronger and maybe sell weapons to other countries as Japan changes how it defends itself. In October 2020, Mitsubishi Heavy Industries was chosen to lead the development. The FX is designed to be hard to detect by radar. It has air ducts that twist and an internal weapons bay to reduce its radar reflection. Electromagnetic wave absorbers, made of carbon-based material, are used on air ducts and engines to absorb radar waves, making them harder to spot. Tests showed that this could cut the radar detection range in half. The FX also uses metamaterials, made of different materials, to reflect radio waves. These materials are applied to the pulsed Doppler system to control radio wave reflection. To avoid being noticed by radar, the FX mostly relies on passive detection. Its radar emissions are managed to lower the chance of being detected by counter-radar systems. The FX uses plasma stealth antenna technology to change how radio waves bounce off it. This antenna creates temporary plasma with electrical control, making it hard to detect. When activated, the antenna can also send and receive communication signals. The fighter is powered by two XF91 engines with an efficient afterburner thrust of 16,500 kilograms per force. Interestingly, it is twice the thrust of the renowned American F-35. In the early stages of development, they planned on making use of XF-9 engines to power up the jet. By 2018, they officially stated that their level for the prototype engine was 11 tons or more in military thrust and 15 tons or more with afterburner. The XF-9 engine is designed to be flexible, which allows for different thrust levels depending on the need. The target maximum thrust for the future fighter engine program is 20 tons, which is about 196 kilonewtons or 44,000 pounds per force. The engine has a high combustion temperature of 1,800 degrees Celsius and is slim compared to its power, with the engine inlet being about 30% smaller than the General Electric F-110 that was used in the F-2. The slim design is necessary to accommodate several internal weapons, which in turn improves its stealthy nature. This engine has a substantial electrical power output of 1/8 kilowatts, and this provides a total of 360 kilowatts from both engines. The high input generation is important for powering the fighter's advanced avionics and equipment. The engine also features three-dimensional thrust vector nozzles that allow the aircraft to be very maneuverable and, in turn, enhance its stealth capability. The thrust vector nozzle can deflect thrust up to 20 degrees in all directions. In December 2021, Japan signed an agreement with the United Kingdom to collaborate on developing and designing the sixth-generation engine. The joint efforts involved engine manufacturer Rolls-Royce and IHI. A viability study has been going on, and the Italian manufacturer Avio Aero joined as a partner in the development of the engine. Later on, efforts for the collaboration were set to begin in Japan's next financial year, starting on April 1, 2020. The possibility of equipping the aircraft with engines that have a variable thrust vector is also being considered, and this would make the Japanese fighter super maneuverable. However, the ability to generate 180 kilowatts of electricity to be used for combat laser or electromagnetic weapons is more interesting because it will burn out the enemy's electronics at a distance of up to 8 miles. The fighter also has quick suspension points for tactical weapons, like guided hypersonic missiles or nuclear missiles. In addition to the intriguing features of the fighter, the Mitsubishi F-3 has received heavy-duty onboard equipment. First, the aircraft would be controlled by a technologically advanced interface that would help optimize data flow and simplify piloting and combat missions. The aircraft's body acts not only as a laser antenna, but also generates electronic interference. It also has an ultra-fast system for processing and transmitting data from all surveillance and guidance systems, from powerful ground-based radars to advanced airborne gunners. Now, here's the cherry on the cake. Japan is planning to utilize unmanned combat drones that can work with the F-3. These drones, which are referred to as combat support unmanned aircraft, are quite similar to other projects like the Kratos XQ-58 Valkyrie or the Boeing Air Power Teaming System. In this setup, the drone is meant to act as a helpful partner for the main aircraft. There are two types of drones: the one that carries a sensor and looks for a target, and the one that fires weapons and whose main function is to protect the main fighter from incoming missiles. Both versions would be designed to have the same design. Also, the plan is to have the drones fully developed and operational by 2030. Thanks for watching. While you are still here, click on the link on your screen to check out another of our videos. See you there.